let's talk about Birdman and Sad Boy, where guess what? Birdman becomes Captain America, and he's black, and it's freaking awesome. Welcome to Fake Nerds Watch, Captain America and the Winter Soldier. That's right, Captain America and the Winter Soldier, fools. He's black now. Suck it, racists. I'm Ben Hackett, Brandon McClure, Ryan Eliopoulos, and Sparkz Witty. The final episode of the show, actual show, the title is Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but we all know it's Captain America and the Winter Soldier because holy crap, when I saw that,
I firmly believe that on Monday, I'll just say on Monday, the show is retitled on Disney Plus to Captain America.
I really hope not.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
No, because he's not Captain America in the first 5
Captain
episodes.
America until the end, so like it'd be weird if they did that.
Only reason why I say that are because there are rumors floating around about a small change coming to the show on Monday. I don't know if that's true, and I could be wrong. I don't believe any info.
Look, I'll tell you what. I don't care if they change it on like where it's listed on the banner on Disney Plus, but I really hope that they don't go in and retroactively retitle every episode of the show to Captain America and the Winter Soldier, because it's not that. Mm-hmm. It's the last time he's Falcon. It should remain Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
It's his journey to become Captain America.
That's a dumb retroactive thing to do.
I want to be clear. I'm not advocating for it. I just thought of it. Anyway,
for sure. I'm not targeting you. I'm targeting the idea.
Every one of these rumors are all I hate rumors, because when the WandaVision ones, like all of them were fake, and I'm like, okay, then I'm not going to trust any of these, and it turns out, yeah, sounds about right.
A lot of WandaVision rumors were right.
Oh yeah,
the
not about
one.
Not about like length and.
The
length is going to get really long.
This episode's going to drop Friday, and like all
there's going to be an extra episode or blah,
that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Two this week.
I mean, we all know Mephisto is true. That's obvious.
Yeah, Mephisto was in this show.
Sharon Carter's Mephisto. We all knew it.
It's the greatest reveal in MCU history, if you ask me.
I wish that was the reveal.
Let's get into it, boys.
If you don't mind, I'd like to go first, though. I know I just monopolized the beginning, but I've been really hot on the show. I claimed about halfway through this season that if the show nails the ending, it would be my favorite thing to come out of the MCU. That is not the case.
No.
I think a lot of the finale does work for me, but I have 3 major problems with the show that were not remedied by the end of it. And I'm sure we'll go through them. I think Sparkz and you and I talked about them.
We did
a little bit.
Go ahead.
Well, I just want to
show, man. Come on.
Like briefly, I just want to say I don't think John Walker's turn into U.S. agent works at all. It doesn't make any sense in the frame of the show.
It feels so much like setup.
Yeah, because of that, I don't understand Val's presence on the show. What that's supposed to mean? It's just supposed to be government. It's just supposed to be like, what is she?
We'll find out in the next MCU thing.
And then Carly's story isn't as nuanced as the show really wants you to believe it is.
Heck no.
And then Sharon Carter sucks and should have been written out of the show completely.
Yeah, and it's one of those unfortunate things where, kind of like the WandaVision finale, where I wasn't as hot on it. I'm going to be honest. I'm not very hot on this episode. Yeah. I think everything with Captain America and Isaiah Bradley, all that stuff works. But everything that's leading up with every villain, we had multiple villains and none of them got paid off. And even Bucky, I think, kind of got sidelined in the finale a little bit. And yeah, everything with Sharon Carter sucks. And that's not something I say often about the MCU. It sucks. It is bad. And that is maybe one of the worst post-credit scenes I've ever seen in a movie.
It's the worst post-credit scene in the MCU, surely.
I'm just shocked. And what sucks even more is that I have to now wait for another thing to explain why she's like that to make up for this. Like she's a Skrull or she's doing something else. And I think that's also bullshit.
I do want to dive into like the things you guys are saying. I just want to say like up front, I kind of talked to Brandon about this. That, like, I really want to make clear because I feel like I constantly have come out with a lot of criticism about this show in each episode. And I really want to be clear that like there's a difference between criticism and negativity. And I'm not being negative about this show. I wanted this show to be great. I think I'm so critical of this one because it was so close to so many great things and it missed on a lot of them. And now that the show is done, I'm going to retroactively be talking about some of the things we'd already discussed that like I was nervous about and things like that. But I really like the show overall. Some of my favorite things that have happened in the MCU in recent years happened in this show, specifically around Isaiah Bradley and Sam.
Yeah.
I want to get that out there. Like, I have zero problem with how they did Sam and Isaiah in this episode. 100%. And I'm very pleased with that arc overall. I think that, which is the most important part of the show, that they landed that is the thing I wanted them to come out of this having nailed.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that that is the case. I am glad that we are walking away from the show with whatever problems we have. We're all saying they nailed Sam becoming Captain America. They nailed that relationship, the dynamic, the fact that they tackled what it's like to be a black man in America while he was doing it and brought in Isaiah Bradley. That all went great.
Wow.
So that's awesome. That's the absolute most important thing that this show had to do, and it did do it. And for that, I'm very happy.
It was some of the coolest stuff I've ever seen with a shield, with Cap's shield in this
Yes.
in this show.
God, some of the most inventive. I'm so excited to watch him do more of that. It's great. I'm really happy we're here with that. So I want to get that out there because that is key, and we're probably not going to. We're going to tear down some other things, and I just really want us all to emphasize that. I know we're all happy with that, and that is the most important part of the show. So that's great. Really pleased. Yeah, Sharon Carter's 100% the worst part of the show, and let's talk about that first because I really want to just tear that thing a new one. Ben
hasn't said anything yet.
Go ahead, Ben.
Did we call that Sharon Carter was going to be the power broker?
Everybody did, Ben. Everybody did.
I don't think we actually said it on the show, but we all thought it.
No. Last week I 100% turned to Ryan and I'm like,
not initially.
Sharon Carter. Why are we seeing Sharon in episode 5 with the phone call unless she's the power broker? Why would we be? And that's exactly it. And all of Twitter seems to have felt the same way because I've seen plenty of posts where they're like, when Sharon's revealed to be the power broker, they're like,
Yes. It's kind of like, it's instead of the oh my god moment, it's the yeah no shit moment.
But it's not no shit moment. It's not the no shit moment. It's the that sucks as bad as I thought it would.
It's like I just don't know what they were trying to do, like with the nuance of that character. Like I feel so bad, especially because we're reading a Captain America comic where Sharon's integral to it, like coming up, and Sharon Carter is arguably the most essential person in Captain America's
certainly
history,
the most essential
in the comics.
Female in Captain America comics.
100%. And even besides like she has been his partner and romantic interest for decades and decades and decades. They raised a child together in another dimension. Thank you, Rick Remender. I don't use this phrase lightly. The character assassination of Sharon Carter really bums me out because she got sidelined in the movies anyway. And then just like this, I'm like, what do we do with her? Oh, we turn her into the bad guy, then maybe turn her into a Skrull. That's what we do with this character. It's fantastic. I think.
But honestly, her being a Skrull is the only thing that could make me even remotely interested in where this character goes.
100%. Because if it's just like Armor Wars and she's just like an arms dealer, boring as shit. I don't care. I do not care. That's what people think it is. That's what people think it is. That she's just going to be like the new Justin Hammer.
I hate it now.
Yeah. How bad is that?
If they make her the new Justin Hammer and they don't bring back Sam Rockwell and make him just... Ooh, I'm gonna be
or
mad.
Just have both. But the thing is, they have to turn her into a Skrull, otherwise, this character is just done for good.
Here's the thing, though. Let's just paint that scenario real fast.
Yeah.
I love that idea. Let's have Justin Hammer back, and then if they're gonna do it, I'd rather they do both. Mm-hmm. But here's the thing: if Justin Hammer's back, he's gonna be the Daniel Bruhl of that show, and she's gonna be the exact same she was here, and I'm still not gonna give a shit.
Yeah.
And so why?
Yeah, true.
We are now recording this in the aftermath of the report that there is a fourth Captain America coming. We will talk about it on our main show. We have whenever you're watching this. If that Sharon Carter post-credit scene, the worst post-credit scene in the MCU history, it made me de-excited for what's to come next. For the first time ever. If that is to lead to Captain America 4, oh my god, kill me now.
I don't think it is. I think they realize what they have, and I think because all that Secret Invasion casting's happening right now, which means that show's happening soon.
I would believe you if the showrunner for Falcon and Winter Soldier was not writing Captain America 4.
Yeah, and that's what really worries me.
Him and one of the other writers, Dallin Muson, who 2 of the 3 white writers when everyone else is black on that writing staff, by the way.
Oh, that's cool.
Kind of a bummer that they're the two chosen to go write the Captain America movie. I'm hoping for a black director.
Yeah.
Because I think that's pretty important and kind of a bummer. So
I just think Sharon's like, man, I we got to get past Sharon so we can talk about something good.
Yes.
But like her reveal in this episode, it's so weird and rushed, and it's like, no, I revealed the Mission Impossible mask. It's me. I'm Sharon. Just like in the middle of daylight in public in front of people. I'm just like, what's going on right now? This is so awkward. I thought it was just bad.
I'd even like to give them like benefit of in general about some of the things we're going to talk about, Sharon, the mishandling of the Flag Smashers, things like that. The benefit of the pandemic. Yeah. And that throwing plans off course and all that. But even in doing that, like just the trajectory of Sharon seems misguided from the jump. If I really believe I would have at least come out, I don't think I'd be super pleased, but I think I would have at least come out a little hotter on this if Sharon hadn't shown up since episode 3.
Yeah.
If we had not seen scenes of her that were never necessary, by the way,
just
in episodes 4 and 5,
yeah.
If we had never seen her, I wouldn't have been thinking about her as a power broker. I don't think most people would have. I don't think it would have been at the forefront of our mind.
But she's doing shady shit just like in one scene.
Exactly. Yeah. But when you do that, when you just spotlight her doing something shady, as you said, in just one scene of the episode, nonsensically and separate from everything else, then I think she's the power broker, which made the reveal mean nothing. But if she had shown up at the beginning of this episode exactly as she did, and it's like, yeah, I'm here to help, who needs pardons anyway, I'd be like, that's pretty nice. That's pretty nice after episode 3. It's a cool, all right, cool, I'm with this. And then when she shows up to Carly and Carly's like, you're the power broker, I'd be like, oh, you what? All right. I mean, I don't know how I feel about that, but at least I have to process it in the moment. This, I was just like, this is the worst reveal I think I've ever seen in the MCU, which is kind of weird.
Yeah.
It's like we called that since episode 4.
I was watching that post-credit scene waiting for her to turn into a Skrull or
Same.
some hint she was a Skrull, and it just ends
something.
And I'm like,
yeah,
this is
I
like,
was waiting for that
like,
post-credit scene to do anything interesting.
Yeah, and I'm like, this is like the worst aspect of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has crept its way into the MCU.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
That post-credit scene, it was not good. I kept, so like with WandaVision, I was hoping, because WandaVision had 2 post-credit scenes. You had the one with the scroll in the movie theater, and then at the very, very end, you had that quick clip of Wanda in the cabin looking through the dark book or whatever.
Yeah, the Darkhold.
The Darkhold, thank you. Yeah. And I was going through, I was like, is there something else at the end? There's nothing.
I was waiting too, buddy. I was waiting too. I was watching the whole credits. I was like, there's got to be something else, right?
Well,
and then that George Peach comes up. You're like, nope, that's it.
It's like, man, they had when she gets reinstated in the United States, when she gets reinstated, she's fine, and then she's like, yeah, we're just like, wow, that's okay.
Like again, like I think just the scene itself is executed really poorly. Because like, again, like I don't hate the idea of this person who was rejected by America after being like, one of its agents. Like, I'm cool with that idea. It's just the execution of it just preposterously bad. She doesn't even wait to get off the steps of the Capitol. She's like, hey, guess what? I'm a bad guy. I'll give you all the state secrets. I hope no one's listening in. It's just like, it's just so like, it felt like you said, like a CW, like it felt like a CW scene. Like, yes. And then like, it was shot just like a big zoom out. And it's just like, it's shot poorly. It's just bad.
It's just all around bad. And her inclusion in the show, we talked a bit about how Zemo's inclusion of the show was distracting from the main characters. At least it was fun. This wasn't distracting. This wasn't fun. It was just nothing.
In the way.
It served no relevance to the show as a whole.
At least with Zemo, it was entertaining, and it got us an hour of him dancing on the Marvel YouTube channel.
That's 30 seconds loop.
It's a loop, yeah.
It's 30 seconds looped.
I know it's a 30-second loop, but it got us that, which is funny. Whereas with Sharon Carter, there's no satisfaction in that whatsoever.
Her introduction episode where she does a lot of John Wick kung fu stuff, still great. I still think that's a cool scene. If we got way more of that, I probably would care more, but she just disappears and then is a bad guy.
Well, the other thing about it is like, if you're going to see the power broker thing coming from a mile away, which again, most people did. And again, like this is kind of the suffering of the show being as short as it is. Like we probably would have needed a higher episode count for what I'm about to say. But if she's going to be the power broker, good Lord, use her as the thing to help explore Carly and the Flag Smashers. If we're gonna do that, use it.
She was involved with their thing like the whole time, and like it's like none of it's like really explored. And then like they just meet up, and you're like, "You were supposed to help me because you're the power broker." And I'm just like, man, this is just whack.
Because Sharon Carter is 100% like the worst thing about this, but the most disappointing is that the Flag Smashers are pretty much swept under the rug entirely by the end of this episode. Their whole ideology, their whole movement is rendered kind of moot and counter-argued, and Carly becomes the only thing that defines that movement rather than the movement being defined by its ideals.
Yeah.
And that all really, really stinks.
And then they all just get killed, and now they're just never going to get talked about ever again.
The super soldiers of the group, because there can still be the movement.
That's true.
Beyond that, but the super soldiers are dead.
The thing that really like cemented the fact that I hated Sharon. We're gonna move into Flag Smashers. I just one last thing on because it's kind of related. When Zemo's butler showed up, I was more interested in that.
I actually like that scene because it's like evil Alfred. I'm like, oh my god, Zemo just can't get over the super soldiers.
Because that's a progression. That's a progression. I didn't see that coming. It's a cool callback to that character. I give a shit because it's only a split second. I didn't have to sit through an hour of the butler talking or doing something.
Yeah,
I liked it.
It doesn't help that Emily Van Camp's probably giving her worst performance in the MCU in this episode.
Yeah.
She's got bad dialogue, but it's also not played well. Anyway,
it's not like she can't act tough, but I just feel like it's like what like the dialogue she's given, like she's acting like I'm trying to act tough, but I'm really not. But like I know you are tough. I've seen you be tough.
If you're a person who watches this and also enjoys our Fake Nerd podcast, you're going to hear me on our Mortal Kombat episode talk about a movie on Netflix called I Care a Lot that I watched, where I think it also suffers from the same misguided idea of like we want to present that women can be bad guys too, and it's like driven by that ideology, but it's so mishandled. And there's a lot of similarity parallels I see between the way Rosamund Pike's character is handled in that film and Sharon Carter's handled here. But I'll talk more about that there. Flag Smashers. Boy, howdy. I mean, like I was saying it from the beginning that what I was most worried about is that this was all going to kind of go south with how they handled that revolutionary movement. And sure enough, it did. And my biggest thing is that, like, there's a way to have told this story where you didn't step into global politics, and they chose to step into the arena of global politics. And I feel like it's super interesting. I super understand why they want to do it, but if they're going to do it, they have to be competent about it. And they clearly weren't, or they didn't think it through, or the pandemic screwed them up. And if that's the case, that's a bummer, but it sucks that we get to this episode and they are essentially turned into just a terrorist group who, by the way, clearly was essential. Their violent acts were essential because Sam's speech is great, but nobody would have listened to it unless Carly had attacked them.
And then he carries her body like in mourning.
It is so mixed messaging. It is so centrist on how it wants to handle a revolutionary, honestly left movement, and that it's trying to walk the line of like having things that are relatable, but also kind of saying like, but yeah, they could also be like the bad version of what people say Antifa would be. Yeah. And I'm like, this is all just messy and not addressed well. And it's frankly because there's not enough time for it. There isn't enough time because there's too many other important things.
It's a TV show.
We have to discuss Sam and racism in America. Again, the key important thing, and I'm glad we came around to it and handled it well. But we also have to do the John Walker thing, and we also have to do the Sharon Carter thing and the Zemo thing. And I'm like, there's no room. There's no room to do this right in 6 episodes.
Yeah.
Unless you get rid of one of those other things. And I think the defining moment for me in this episode where things are just like, they clearly just never had a good idea about how to handle the Flag Smashers, or they were clearly just wrong-headed about it, is the moment where there are the 3 other people who clearly don't agree with Carly, clearly don't agree with these actions.
I literally sighed. I sighed out loud.
And they don't say anything. And we are currently living through where we're having discussions about complacency, about the officer who is standing next to Derek Chauvin being just as responsible for the death of George Floyd as Derek Chauvin. We can't have these people who clearly disagree do nothing and be able to praise the movement now. That's how that works. Go ahead, Ben.
I was really hoping when we got to that scene and Carly's going off the walls, it was like, we're going to kill the hostages if we have to. And you can obviously see the look on their faces is like, yo, we don't want to do that.
I thought like, this was going to be a turning point for all of them, and it wasn't.
I was so ready for it. Like, please, at least one of you just say, like, no, this is not how to do it. And then she's like, say the freaking line, and they all say, I'm like, oh, you had a great opportunity, and it just went right over your heads, or not over your heads. You just missed completely.
I do just want to, like, the second time I watched this episode, what stood out to me is, like, it didn't even need to be addressed in that moment. I could have accepted them not immediately contradicting her. However, there's a moment later where John Walker has made the decision to save those senators rather than go after Carly. And in that moment, if Carly had been the only person to attack him, rather than all of the flag smashers jumping on him, supporting her idea of let the senators die, that would have been the moment. That would have been the moment where they said, this murder is on you. Because Carly took that van. Carly drove it off the edge by herself. If she had been the only person fighting John in that moment, that would have worked. If the flag smashers stood back and said, no, not doing this. Or even, like, you would have had to change the whole great moment of Sam catching it. I understand that. But, like, you're writing the show, you can do that.
Yeah.
But there was that opportunity. That's the moment where the flag smashers could have been like, Carly's not part of this. This isn't us anymore.
They couldn't commit to it. Yeah.
Well, that's the problem with, we talked about it a bit, Sparkz, you and I. This is more generalized criticism that I'm going to give of just modern day popular culture, specifically blockbusters, which, you know, it's a TV show, but it's still kind of a blockbuster. All Marvel things operate as blockbusters. Blockbusters, pop culture in general, are so afraid to go too far left. They always want to stay in the center left, but still they really desperately just want to keep in that center because they don't want to alienate everybody.
They can't lose millions and millions of dollars, even if it's like by maybe bad people. And not everyone on the right's bad. That's not what I'm saying, but there are definitely people who are like very like, oh, anti-woke and like won't support something just because
it's
Captain
the difference between Star Wars A New Hope and, well, I guess Rise of the Skywalker's pretty okay. Star Wars A New Hope and anything that's come out, just pick a thing and all probably. But Star Wars A New Hope is about terrorists.
Yeah.
Because George Lucas was very open about his anti-government during the Vietnam War. He was very open about that. And that's what Star Wars came from.
Right.
Nowadays, Star Wars, the studio would be like, no, we gotta, the Empire is probably not so bad, right?
Yeah.
You're right. And I think what frustrates me the most is, like, you can still have the show itself be that center left and have them still represent far left.
Yeah.
Because not everything about far left is great. Like, even as a person who's pretty far left, I'll say not everything's great. And still being involved in a movement like that where you've committed violence is not great. But you could still have them have beliefs and ideology. And I think that's the problem, is that their movement, and I saw people like sharing this on Twitter, like, hey, I just want to remind you all, the Flag Smashers are the good guys. Like, their movement is true and righteous. Carly is the bad egg of the bunch. And even then, she's just so, like, they don't explore it enough, but she's supposed to be just so jaded by how badly they've been treated. But they are on the side of right.
We talked about it a bit with Black Panther. Black Panther, I think, is a really good example of the fact that Killmonger and T'Challa are kind of on the same side, just Killmonger takes it too far. And I think Black Panther is the outlier in what I just said. It's the exception, not the rule. It's at the end of Black Panther, T'Challa's like, the way he did it was wrong, but honestly, what he was saying wasn't, and we need to really approach that. That's what they wanted and honestly needed the Flag Smashers to be, but they were too scared to go that way.
I 100% agree, and that's the thing, is they needed to create a separation where, because this is the thing of how it could have existed, because Sam is center left.
Yeah,
but you could have had both far left opinions of Carly and the Flag Smashers, but they're two different things. Carly is Killmonger, but the Flag Smashers are Black Panther. They're T'Challa.
Yes.
They're like, we know there's a good way to go about this, and we want it. And they just could not make those two things connect because the movement wasn't allowed to be a character outside of Carly.
Yeah.
It just wasn't. And that's the crappy thing about this. And the worst part about it is that my feeling when this was done is we're never going to address it again, because they killed all the super soldier Flag Smashers.
And they killed Carly.
This movement will never come up again. The GRC is done because they said we're backing off on resettlement plans. That's it. This is all done. We're not going to discuss how this is a real issue happening in that world that they have now presented. It's now no longer out of sight, out of mind, gone.
That is a concern, yeah.
I definitely care more about this trajectory, what this show sets up as far as geopolitics and everything like that, more than I care about the multiverse stuff, honestly. Like, if the multiverse stuff is truly what the next, like, major thing, I don't know if it is. I don't know what they're planning. But, like, there are two trajectories that we see spinning out of WandaVision and Falcon Winter Soldier, two different ones. And honestly, I'm more interested in the one that Falcon Winter Soldier creates. But I don't think they're ever going to do anything with the rest of the Falcon
I think we can have both.
Well,
because you can't separate Captain America being a black man. That's just like, and that's what the show does so well. It's like, yeah, like we have to deal with the fact that people don't like this. And like, I really wish they would have done the thing as Captain America will return in a movie. I wish, because the announcement was like the same day. Like they should have just did it in the show and made it a big cool thing.
So,
but they announced it, so like they have to keep going with this trajectory. I agree, Brandon. Like they'd be foolish not to.
Yeah.
At the very end of the show, when it says Captain America and the Winter Soldier, I was really hoping to see the will return part, like you do at the very end of every Marvel movie, or maybe not every Marvel movie, but most of them. And we didn't get that, and I was like, they're coming back, right? If it wasn't for that news story breaking and circling all over social media and everywhere that covers pop culture saying, yeah, there's gonna be Captain America 4 and it's gonna star Anthony Mackie, I was like, okay, good. Wait, what did I say?
I'm so sorry. No, I was thinking about what you were talking about, how about the movie's ending with "Will come back," and I pictured us seeing Black Widow and it's saying Black Widow will not return.
Normally Sparkz stay there.
It just was there.
She's just like,
normally Sparkz, when you make a face like that, is because I said something stupid and I didn't catch myself. I was like, oh, did I not say Anthony Mackie's name right? What did I say? What did I say wrong?
Anyway, so I think it's a bummer that the Flag Smashers end where they are. That said, though, Sam's speech is great.
Sam's speech is great. It's doing a whole lot of legwork for what the rest of the show didn't do for the Flag Smashers. And which sucks. It sucks also to, like, as much as I like Sam and I like that what it's doing is showing that he's a Captain America for everyone kind of thing. I really like that. But what it's also doing, because the Flag Smasher ideology was handled so poorly, is saying, hold up, guys, the center American knows better about your situation and can guide it better than you guys have been. And is like,
But I agree. There is a point where Sam is not Steve, right? He's not the same person, but he has different experiences. And I do like, he says like, no, I don't understand. Like, I don't have all the answers, but we're going to work on it together. Yeah. And I think that's awesome. And it's brave of them to go like, hey, I'm the new superhero of America and I don't have all the answers, but let's figure it out. And I think that's awesome instead of him giving an answer he doesn't have.
That's exactly one of my favorite parts of it, where he was like, we all talk about how, there's nothing that like, there's no trauma that like binds us together. Now there is. Now we all suffered through this one thing. We all have this collective trauma, and we all have to work through it together. I like that. Yeah. I think that's good.
No, I agree. And it brings up like really good points about, how helpless did you feel facing a thing that wiped out half of life in the universe, all that kind of stuff. It's good. There is really good shit there. Before we get too far away from the problem with the Flag Smashers thing, I want to talk about like, I'm in a weird place now because I don't want them to drop that idea of what's happening, but I don't want Malcom Spellman to pick it up for the Captain America movie because I don't have faith that it would be anything different from what we got here, that it would go any further into like what you said, Brandon. It's going to stay in that center zone now.
Yeah.
I don't have faith that they'll move it further left or that they'll actually explore it the way it should be, especially not from TV to movie.
Yeah.
So I'm torn because like, I don't want it to be ignored, but I also don't necessarily want the voices who did this to keep doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. We really got to see who the director is, man. Maybe they get someone like a powerhouse, man.
Yeah. It's a weird space to be in with that kind of thing.
I want to go ahead.
Yeah. I was just going to say that something I was thinking about while I was watching is like, boy, I really wish we like still got that stuff about the GRC. Like, I feel like that was so crucial to link John Walker to the GRC, to explain the GRC. And it dawned on me that like they had a perfect way to do it, which is just say they're the new World Security Council.
Oh yeah.
That existed. They could have just said, we took that mandate and then we applied it to the blip.
You asked me because you have this new giant organization that runs the world. What happened to the UN? Did they replace the UN, or is the UN working together? And I'm like, oh, that's a good question. Yeah, I would like to know more about that stuff. Thanks for not telling me.
I want to kind of pause on the beating the dead horse thing, and talk about some of the things that I really like about the series, which is a lot of the Captain America action. I think the action in the beginning of this episode, especially with the helicopter chase sequence, I think is really, really great stuff. There's a bit that I love. There's a couple of things that I really love about it, where it's Sam saves people, which is something that we haven't seen in the MCU in a long time. That was kind of the Russos taking the heroes out of populated areas, so they just focus on the action. That's fine, but I really like seeing superheroes save people.
You know what, Brandon? You know what it reminded me of? Specifically with the people chain, like Captain America. It reminded me of the Sam Raimi Spider-Man
movie. Yeah,
Yes.
me
with
too.
Spider-Man, you got it, and that's Captain America. And I'm like, oh man, this is cheesy, and I love it because it would be inspirational to see this new Captain America.
But one of my favorite things about some of the action, and I don't know if they did this in the comics because I only read the one volume. I read our book club today. Is that when Sam uses the shield and then the wings make like an extended version of the shield, and they all kind of that's so cool. That's such a cool image. I love that.
I don't think in the comics his suit is vibranium.
It's not.
Okay.
Yeah, at any point, but it is here, which is cool.
He does a thing where he merges with the shield to make a cone that digs into the ground. I'm like, this is some cool shit. There's
He
there was
tosses
a
it.
that I truly the shield throw is awesome. I actually geeked out hard, and I actually audibly went, oh my god, yeah, and I didn't even mean to do it. And it's when he's fighting Batroc and he does the thrust push into him with the shield, and I'm like, oh yeah, and I was like, oh, I feel like a child, but it's awesome. The action.
There were so many moments like that where he kicks the shield up and it hits Batroc in the face, or even his when he first shows up, when he throws the shield through the window and does the triumphant "I'm Captain America." That's so cool.
Man, guys, the outfit looks so good.
Yeah.
Truly one of the best. Like Iron Man's easy to do because it's metal, but in terms of replicating the comics outfit, this might be the best, truly, especially for a new Captain America, man. Not a lot of people like that, Avengers, the first Avengers Captain America outfit. And I'm like, man, this Captain America outfit is sick as hell. Holy shit.
Fist was in the air. I was like, yeah, that's Captain freaking America. When Sam first flies in and you see the costume for the first time, you see him with a shield, and it's like that whole sequence. And then when they look at him, it's like, what? It's like, who are you? It's like, I'm Captain America. It's like, I thought Captain America was on the moon.
That's a fun callback.
Just when with Sam looking at the sky saying, I'm Captain America, it's like F yes you are. You freaking are Captain America.
I do actually appreciate that they made it a callback to I thought he was on the moon and not I thought he was white. I think it would have been a little cliched. They could have gone either way, and honestly, I probably would have been okay with both. But I like the moon one is funny and kind of a nice moment.
Because then it makes you think oh man, this is the second time they've mentioned it. A lot of people actually think he's on the moon.
Yeah,
that's hilarious. He's a Skrull.
I just wanted to take a brief moment before we move into something else I didn't about to talk about.
I want to talk about the helicopter scene because I freaking love that chase scene, and even with even now that Sam is Captain America, he still doesn't lose his wit boy,
you're gonna earn this ass whooping.
I love that line.
I
love that line so much. Or when he finds out that one lady could fly a helicopter, he's like, a little birdie told me you could fly a helicopter, and he just flies through, knocks the guy out into the harbor, and then she just that was just so freaking cool.
One of the things that I think is really funny. So we're led to believe that Bucky designed this suit, right? He designed it and gave it to the Wakandans and said, "Make this." That's my headcanon. I don't know if everyone else feels that way.
I didn't think of it that way. I thought he just asked them, "Can you make a Captain America suit for Sam that blends Falcon and Captain America?"
I figured they got way better designers. Bucky doesn't need to handle it. They got people for
what does Bucky know about making an outfit?
Yeah.
I know. I always kind of thought it would be funny. But my point is the thing that is my headcanon is that Bucky hated Red Wing, but he still liked Sam enough to give him a new Red Wing.
Two Red
Wings. Yeah.
I just thought that's cute.
I was just gonna say hey, he needs a better suit. Make a Captain America.
Yeah, they knew. They all knew. They're ready. You want to talk about Johnny Walker?
I do want to talk about John Walker.
Man, I was so pumped when he returned, and then I was not pumped anymore, you guys.
Here's the thing. I actually like his turn to save the van. I think that works.
That's not... It's great, yeah.
But it doesn't make any sense that he becomes U.S. agent, and the way it's framed and where it is set makes you think it's because he's still working for the government. And why would he still be working for the government?
Yes. Okay, so I want to talk about that because I agree. Everything with John Walker in this episode, I'm totally happy with, fine with, think was good. except that scene.
I don't like that he's immediately like, everyone's cool with him. Bucky's patting him on the back, like everyone's homies with him when he just like murdered a dude. Like even if he saves someone, like I don't think his redemption. I think it's way too fast. I think it's way too fast for the build up, and it's like instant. Like he's just a hero again. I'm back. He's yelling, "I'm back!" like a superhero.
I'll agree with the pat on the back, but everything else just feels like they're in a state of crisis, and they're having to he's helping, and that's all that matters in that moment is that he's helping.
Okay. Up until that scene at the end that I talked about, like I don't think of it as a redemption. I think of it as he's doing a good thing at this point.
Okay.
Especially from, I can accept Bucky being cool, kind of okay with it, considering his history with what the serum does.
Yeah.
And understanding that, like, not everyone is Steve when they get the serum. And John, having just taken it and watching his best friend get murdered, it doesn't excuse his actions, but it certainly makes it where, like, you're the person who's been controlled and murdered a whole bunch of other people. You're going to be like, I can deal with that for this crisis situation.
Sure.
They're
agree. Chummy at the end, though. Man.
I agree that the pat on the back is too much.
Yeah.
But I think that the looks at the end are more about John giving respect when he hears Sam say how hard it is to be a black man picking it up, which clearly John had never thought about before in that single moment. And I think that that's just a sign of respect. Like, we cool.
Okay.
But the last scene is problematic. And boy, let me tell you what. I really think we'd be living in a different reality about how people felt about that scene if Derek Chauvin had not gotten sent to prison this week, because the parallels of their situation is rough. And boy, I think we'd all be in a really bad place about it as a nation if that had gone the other way. Thank God it didn't. Derek Chauvin went to jail, which is great.
I'm talking about a quick edit, Jesus.
But you are watching a man working for the government who got caught murdering someone on film brutally and basically got you're dishonorably discharged and that's it. And now is going to become a new kind of government agent.
So
that's real not good right now.
So I 100% agree. So there are two directions that this potentially can go just from the comics background, right? Dark Avengers or Thunderbolts. Dark Avengers are the Avengers. They are the public Avengers, but they have secret identities of bad guys, right? But then you have the Thunderbolts, who are a covert. They are Suicide Squad. They are unknown to the public. They are X-Force. They are Suicide Squad. So they are the guys who go into places, kill a bunch of people, and they're unknown. That's now, I think, the direction they are going, especially with all that Raph shit. Like, Val is not a good person in this universe. She is in the comics, kind of.
And like I understand, I can see that trajectory. The problem that I have with it on a storytelling level is it doesn't explain to me. Val approaches John Walker as someone outside of the government. Says, "Hey, I can do these things for you. You know, just pick up the phone when I call. You know, that sort of thing."
Yeah.
And then at the end of this episode, it's because it's in the same set, and the visualization of it all says to me that Val works for the government and therefore has at least convinced the government to rehire John Walker as a government agent, and that doesn't fit with the narrative of the show.
I 100% think because and I really hate having to blame the pandemic for everything. Because they shouldn't excuse TV shows all for everything. But there was a Twitter post that was like, when the pandemic affects your shooting, so you have to shoot all of your locations on one set, and it's the same place that John Walker's been the last 3 days. And I think that just might be it. They'd had Julia Reese-Dreyfus for like one day. They had to shoot all her shit in the same set. I think that really messes with what the story they're telling. They should have had that scene in a separate place. But I don't think she works. I think she's Amanda Waller, so she works for the government, but it's secret ways. Like, and it's just not presented well.
I think even worse, like the framing of the scene makes me feel like I'm supposed to feel not only sympathetic towards John, but good that he's going back. Yeah. Back. And I'm like, this
high fives his wife.
It's so celebratory. And I'm like, yo, the framing of it, just the execution and framing is a weird vibe that I don't agree with.
It's the same suit.
Also,
but in black. And I'm like,
that's U.S. agent in like the cheesiest way.
Yeah,
I was like, oh.
I like, this is totally, I expected this to happen way later on. I did not expect it to happen in the same episode where all this happens.
If the next time we see John Walker is the reveal that he is now a U.S. agent working for Val in Cap 4, that's it. That works.
Yeah.
Here,
absolutely
doesn't work.
Yeah. I agree. I agree with that wholeheartedly. I think that reveal shouldn't have happened. It felt rushed and like they wanted to get there. And it weirdly feels like we're kind of in the phase right now, both with this and WandaVision, of it's like, we really got to drive home their comic name. We got to just stick that one. You're the Scarlet Witch. We're going to need a U.S. agent. And I'm like, all right.
Yeah. Now I will only push back against that because I think that the MCU has had a fun and troubled history of awkwardly revealing comic book names.
We're Ironmonger, Tony.
I agree with you. This one was not a good one.
No. I mean, most of them haven't been, is what I was saying. But yes, this was, I think the most egregious one has been has been the U.S. agent for me, only because it just doesn't fit within the narrative of the scene.
Agreed.
Or the show, I mean, not the scene.
Yeah. Again, because if he is taking that name instead of something like Super Patriot or Nomad or something else, like that sounds very like he's working for the government, because he is U.S. agent working for the government in the comics, and I'm like, but I really hope that's not what he's doing.
Yeah.
Unless it's again like evil shit like Thunderbolts, where he's like Suicide Squadding. But
I definitely sat there in the first 5 minutes of this episode, and I'm like logic brain me knows the answer to this question, but like thinking about the world brain me is like, why wouldn't Sam call Rhodey?
Oh, I had that thought immediately. Like, they're in New York City during a huge crisis, and like we saw War Machine like a couple days ago. I'm like,
I was actually thinking about that after I watched the episode. I was like, what Avengers are around that could have also handled this crisis? And War Machine.
In fact, even screw that. Why wouldn't Rhodey show up of his own volition? Like, I know we're not, like, not every Avenger can show up in every other Avengers movie, that kind of thing and all that. But this really felt like a moment where I'm like, kind of feels like he'd make an appearance in relation to this. It's not happening. It's not happening so fast that he couldn't appear.
There's like news vans and like there's like the people are watching this happen live in New York City, where the new Captain America and some and like the USA or the other Captain America is fighting Flag Smash. I'm like, I feel like he would be like, oh, I gotta check this out at least. Like, you got it. I don't have to interfere.
I have always accepted that, just the logic of like, this is a solo endeavor. Not everyone can show up. I've always kind of accepted that logic. But there's also the like world thinking me brain, where it's just kind of like, what are they doing when something like this happens?
Because
they're in Queens, but he could have swung over.
Because it's not like they've done it before. Like, like Ant-Man and Falcon hang out for a second. Like, it's not like they haven't done it before. It's not like they can't do it. Yeah. It's like, I just feel like it almost feels like, you rather? No. Yeah, I don't know.
I just kind of wonder if Rhodey, in this situation, let's just say Rhodey, I'm just throwing that. If like this is happening, Rhodey's at home on the TV, like, there's something happening. Oh, Sam's got it. I'm just going to sit back
maybe.
And watch.
I'm taking the day off.
You think he would find out Sam had it and was showing up as Captain America and he wouldn't be there? See, that's the thing where it doesn't jive with me. But like, I would
put any Avengers name where I said Rhodey, and that's the joke.
Yeah, but I think it's because he showed up earlier in the season, where it kind of feels like kind of would have made sense on some level to acknowledge Rhodey showing up or something. I could have even taken like him getting there at the end and just helping wrangle him up and saying, "Nice, Sam." Yeah. Like, I would have taken it. I would have been like, "Good, great." And maybe he would have. Maybe that's a pandemic thing. No idea. I definitely just felt like it was not even an acknowledgement of. I honest to God would have taken it. Like, I tried to call Rhodey, didn't answer.
Oh yeah.
Tried to get the backup, couldn't get it.
Just seems like just like a missed opportunity. Like, not super mad about it or anything.
Yeah.
It seems like.
But that is a good question. Like, I called for backup, and it's Sharon.
She comes with her Mission Impossible mask.
Sharon got there faster than Rhodey can.
Or Spider-Man.
From Madripoor, look, I get not calling Spider-Man.
Yeah, he's a teenager.
Yeah. I can't think of anyone else. Who's around? Doctor Strange? He's in New York.
He's doing astral stuff, just like in Far From Home. He's busy.
Hulk is busy.
Or like he tried. He's like, okay, I guess I'll call Peter.
Hulk don't fight no more.
Yeah,
that's right. The deleted scene is
really
not
smart. But he's smart.
But no, I was just gonna have an excuse for Peter Parker. He's like, sorry, man, I'm studying for finals, can't go.
Yeah, could be.
Yeah.
That would be funny. I tried calling Spider-Man, but he's doing finals.
I tried calling a 16-year-old. Couldn't get anybody else. All the Sam Wilson, Captain America stuff's great. Love it. I'm coming more around on the John Walker stuff now that we talked about it.
And even like the Bucky stuff, honestly, like I was fine with how his arc ended in the last episode, so I was totally cool with him in this episode. I don't really think he was shafted or anything like that.
Yeah.
I'm really glad they brought the therapist back. I was nervous
Mhm.
they weren't going to acknowledge it ever again.
Yeah.
I'm glad that they had a scene where he sent her the book and said, I finished it. I'm like, that works. I feel like that wasn't just a dropped thread that followed through. I'm cool. I know Bucky is in a different place because of how Bucky's interacting with Sam and the kids.
Mhm. Yeah.
Like
Uncle Sam?
Yeah.
Or Uncle Bucky?
Uncle Bucky.
Yeah.
Daddy Bucky.
Uncle Bucky. Daddy.
Oh, Daddy Bucky.
I know he's in a different place because I can see it.
Yeah.
And I don't need a lot more in this episode to tell me that. What I will say is I wish there had been more than just that last episode's scene work, while good, to show their friendship smoothing over the course of the show.
We didn't get any extra information. It was just, hey, I killed your son. Why? I was a bad guy. End of scene. Like, we don't get any of the actual emotional resonance of what happens. It's just the door shuts. And I'm like, I guess that's fine for other people.
It's not just that. It's not just the door shuts. It's also Bucky sees him at the restaurant with the waitress, and there's like no acknowledgement. There's nothing, because I'm glad that we saw the scene where Bucky finally goes to the dad and tells him, like, I'm the one who killed his son. I was the Winter Soldier, but we don't get to see any fallout from that. It was just he leaves after having a very difficult conversation, which I can only assume is, I mean, my assumption is that after he says, hey, I'm the one who killed your son, even though I was brainwashed, it wasn't really me. He's like, get out. I don't want to see you ever again.
I don't think this is the scene that Sparkz was talking about real quickly, but just kind of, I do actually like the scene, and I like its inclusion, and I like how short it is. I think it's really poignant. I have actually no issues with that whole thing.
Cool. He's right. I was referring to Sam and Bucky's relationship, how it developed over the show.
No, I'm just talking. Oh, I don't know. If we're talking, are you talking to Ben? Or you're talking to me?
In general, like before we launched into this section, that's what I was, because Brandon brought it up. That's
Sam and Bucky's relationship, great. I was talking about Bucky as like his own personal journey.
His own personal journey.
Yeah. I think like it kind of just stops. Like, I wish that with one final conversation where he gets emotional. Like, I would like to have seen that. Just to have a nice little end cap for all the characters instead of just, I did it. Bye.
But seeing Bucky at the party over by the boat or by the fish market, I was like, okay, that's good. He's having fun. Like, he has all the kids. He has his metal arm sticking out, and they're all hanging from him. And he's just talking to Sarah. I was like, oh yeah, metal arm.
But I will agree with Sparkz that Sam and Bucky's relationship, while I like Sebastian Stan and Anthony Mackie together, I think that there was a moment where the showrunners decided that the two characters have to be best friends. And we didn't quite get the progression of it, and I think that's a little upsetting.
I go back to the scene that I said was so just the fact that it's never in any way like sitting with either of the characters after he says it, where Sam says, "And we could never see each other ever again," when they're sitting in the room back in episode 2 with the therapist, and that didn't sit with the characters after that moment. Like, they both kind of forgot he said that after that. I'm like, that was aggressive. Like, that's not something you forget in the situation you're in. Like, that, you don't have to talk about it necessarily, but it should be influencing their conversations and the way that their relationship is developing over the rest of the show. And that just didn't happen.
Yeah.
And that still sits wrong with me. I hate that line was in there, because I'm like, you either gotta do something with it or cut it, because it was so against Sam's character.
Yeah, I agree.
Though going back to a little bit, because I'm kind of flip flopping. I apologize. Going back to what Ryan was saying, Ryan and Ben were talking about. I think that one of the things I really like about Bucky's visual arc is that he no longer hides his arm.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
In the beginning, he kept it well hidden, and then by the end of the show, he's openly like, "No, I've got a metal arm." Sucks.
He's wearing t-shirt, because at the very beginning he was wearing like full on jackets. He had gloves on constantly.
Yeah. And you see it when he's talking to the old man. He takes off his glove. It's like, no, this is me.
There's some really nice subtle touches in this show. One I wanted to bring up in particular that I just had to check my notes for is that I do like, as poorly nuanced and developed as Carly's arc is, I do like that there is a shot when she sees Sam flying in, and it's a whole long pause before she tells Batroc that he showed up, because you can tell she really hoped he wouldn't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because she promised Batroc the Falcon, and she really hoped he wouldn't show.
Mm-hmm.
She really didn't want. And I appreciate that. I appreciate that that's there. It's just not enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was a moment where the security guard, the Flag Smasher security guard, after he puts the stuff, inconspicuously puts the things on the doors, and he gets the Sharon puts the thing on him, and he just explodes in the car. I was like, did he just explode?
The mercury. Yeah, like a mercury poison thing, and that's when you know Sharon's the bad guy. Oh, she just murdered a man with acid.
I don't know. I kind of feel like that dude deserved it because Sharon bumped into him right after he boarded senators onto a hostage truck as the only other person in a parking garage and said, "I'm sorry, I didn't see you.
I'm lost."
And he didn't think there was anything weird about that.
You're right.
He kind of deserved it.
No, you're right. That was really silly.
It was just a crazy scene.
Some of the worst spy shit ever with Sharon in that scene. I was like, this is stupid. Holy God.
When Sharon takes off the Black Widow mask from Winter Soldier, or the Mission Impossible mask is Ryan called it. The thing, she's like, nobody's looking for me here, is like, I think someone would be like, isn't that Public Enemy #1 Sharon Carter?
I don't know. It's 7 years later. Is she Public Enemy #1?
That's true. It is 7 years later. True.
She's probably like.
And honestly, was she ever Public Enemy #1, or was she just the other?
I'll be perfectly clear. I don't think it makes sense that she that what happened to her was so bad that she had to go to Madripoor.
I agree.
Because everyone else came out all right, and she was like, I'm like, okay,
it's not a good story choice.
That's why
where
again,
I'm sitting at, unless she's a Skrull,
because the real Sharon is like in some cocoon somewhere, and then this is a friggin' alien Skrull lady, and like that's why the character development's bad.
If we recall, when we were hearing about Skrulls being in the MCU, we were like, there was so much speculation over the internet about who's going to end up being a Skrull. And I always hated all that speculation of like, oh, this person has always been a Skrull, because it ruined everyone's character developments.
Yeah.
This is the only time where if you were to tell me, I think that this character is a Skrull, I'm like, yep, cool, good, love Honestly, it, into it.
The blip really, this is the one chance that they can do a secret invasion. 5 years of people being gone and they all reappear. Not all of those people have to be human, right? Like, it makes sense. This is the perfect time to do secret invasion. And it doesn't have to be the big scale like the comics. Like, it's just everyone reappeared.
Or like how they catch on to it is like some people reappeared and they reappeared and another version of them was already there.
Oh yeah, something crazy like that. Yeah.
And that's how Nick Fury gets suspicious of it. Shit, I hope that's how it starts.
Yeah, it's good. Oh man, if that show was like a cool like mystery show, like who's
like, if Sharon was actually blipped,
yes,
yeah, for the 5 years, and the Skrull took her place, and that's why she's in Madripoor, and then a real Sharon came back. Oh man,
that's cool. But then you also still have to write like Sharon in the next thing like competently for me to care. Because right now, like,
couldn't care less.
I'm relying on a plot twist to make me care about a character. Yeah. That's not good.
That's because they were banking on a plot twist, hoping it would make you care, and it didn't.
No.
So now you need a new plot twist.
Sorry, Emily Van Camp. can't get revenge on me.
One other thing I want to talk about. This is retroactively. It has nothing really to do with this specific episode. I like Zemo's mask. I really wish that something had been said to explain why he gave a shit about it.
It felt like marketing.
It just felt like marketing, yeah. And I really hated that. I really hate it.
Again, a lot of these things can be solved with one
more
line.
Than anything, I hate that Sam and Bucky saw him in it and never gave him shit about it. That's out of character for both of them.
Sam should have called him like a dork or something, yeah.
Like, I don't understand how that never came back around.
It's never explained, right?
No,
they never.
No,
like
it was sitting in one of his family's cars.
It doesn't say it's a family heirloom. I would have even accepted that.
You're right. I would have too. I would have too.
Yeah. Again, Zemo.
I think honestly, like, the more cardinal sin to me than not understanding his connection to it is that Sam and Bucky saw him in it and never said a word about it. Never said shit about it. And I'm like, you just saw him wearing a big old purple sock and you didn't say shit? Are you kidding me? Are you Sam Wilson?
Yeah.
Are you Bucky Barnes? Are you Skrulls? Like, what?
That is a little weird. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Good marketing, though. Made me excited.
I honestly don't know if I have much more to say.
I definitely want to pay a little lip service to my favorite part of the show,
the Van Gogh Doctor Who moment,
which is the Van Gogh Doctor Who moment with Isaiah Bradley, where he's taken to the museum and he sees the statue commemorating him, and now I am convinced that is the actor who's going to play Patriot because we've seen too much of him now.
Has to be 100%.
So he must be the actor playing Patriot.
So I teared up a little bit when
me too. Me
she
too.
takes him to the
100%.
meeting. Especially after reading that Isaiah Bradley comic that we did last week. Holy crap.
Yeah.
That was
Carl Lumley kills it, dude.
I forgot until I was like a recap on Supergirl brought it back to my mind. I forgot that Carl Lumley plays Martian Manhunter's dad on that show, and he's super great there too.
Nice.
And
he's
when
Martian Manhunter, he's Martian Manhunter in Justice League.
Yes.
The show.
The show.
The animated
Yes,
show.
the show.
Yeah.
Really? That's the voice of Martian Manhunter?
Yeah.
Nice.
So when he has the moment where he comes over to Sam to shake his hand and hug him, I cried and I was like, this is the best scene in this whole series.
Yeah.
100%. Like I am here for this moment.
Again,
this
like,
is great.
We've been quite negative on this episode. I know I have, but like it's all like it could go to the wayside for how good the Isaiah Bradley stuff is. Like truly, like the fact that they committed to that does make me happy that the show existed at all. Because honestly, if the show didn't go as hard into that, then like I don't even know how I'd feel about the show, to be honest. Like
I've also been really critical, probably more critical on this episode than I was in the past 5. The thing is, at the end of the day, as Sparkz said, it's criticism. The things that work for me, all in all, in the show and in this episode even, are far greater than the things that didn't. It's just the things that didn't are there, and I do have to criticize them because that's just what I do.
And again, to benefit you on that, like I'd agree with this. Like I think that Falcon and the Winter Soldier criticism gets to me more than like WandaVision, I guess, is the most recent example, but most prestige television shows, because I get so enamored about wanting to talk about that criticism because the show was so close. The show was so close to having so many things right, and it's a bummer that it slipped up. Because it was on the right track. Like it had the right materials. It had the GRC and the Flag Smashers are two of the coolest concepts you could come up with after the blip. I love the idea of them. Good Lord, I just wanted them to nail them, and they just didn't, and it bums me out.
Makes me so thinking back on Watchmen and how just politically charged that show is, and it went hard the entire time. And like that's something the MCU can never do. Like I know that. Like I understand that. You know, it's a Disney product. They went relatively hard for an MCU product here, right? And I am thankful for that fact. I am worried that this is the hardest they will go on it. Now that he is Captain America, I feel like maybe the legwork is done, and it'll just be again like the centerism. That I'm like,
I will say, like in regards to that, I feel like we need more marginalized groups heading the creative development of these characters rather than just a part of the writer's room, but not the acknowledged writer of the episode.
Yeah.
But to Brandon's point, like positive, yes, I am more happy coming out of this show than I am upset. I'm pleased overall. And you're right. Like share your positivity.
Yeah.
Isaiah Bradley, all that stuff.
Oh,
share.
I love the Isaiah Bradley stuff. I think that one of the things I really liked about the comic book that we read, for those of you who don't watch our main podcast, we talked about Truth, Red, White, and Black on our
which
book
you should read. You should read it. If you haven't read it, take the opportunity to go read it. It relates to this heavily. It's great.
There is a scene at the end of that comic, sorry, spoilers, where Captain America and Isaiah have a moment. And I was happy that they were able to transcribe a similar moment with Sam and Isaiah. And I think that's really important because a lot of people kind of, you could get like lost in the idea that he's meant to be the cynical person who was betrayed by his government. And like, yes, he was, but there's also the thing where I think it's important that he got to see a black man officially be acknowledged as Captain America, and then officially acknowledged in the Captain America Museum.
Yes. I think they did a great job of not having Isaiah just 180 on everything he said he felt, but instead, still feel what he feels, but respect Sam for the choice he's making.
Yes.
And I think they handled that conversation they have in his garden really well.
Yeah.
And the moment of Sam paying respect to him was really sweet.
Because man, that would have been so bad if he's like, you know what, maybe it's not so bad. If like Isaiah said some bullshit like that,
if
like,
they just reversed him, I think it would have been really. I think would have felt like they were wiping away all the trauma he's been through that shaped him.
Exactly.
And I'm glad that they didn't go that route. I'm glad instead that it comes to this balance of, you know, him being like, I respected Sam, but you have picked up a tough fight.
It's texture, man. It's good. Yeah.
I really hope. Some people have said that we'll see Eli in the 4th Captain America film. I don't deny that. I don't know if I want that. I think I want Eli to show up as Patriot in what I call the Young Avengers film. I think that's where you could find a lot of the kind of like, hey, now Eli is going to be Patriot, take up a shield. It's not the same shield, and have that relate to Isaiah as well. Now his grandson is doing the same thing that Sam is doing. I think there's something there. I don't know if I want that in Captain America 4 personally.
I do agree. I think because the people who are making that movie or like did the show, I think more than likely it will transition over. Because I still think even though they've set up a lot of Young Avengers, I still think that whatever that is still really far away. And they got that kid, and he's like a young good kid. So like if they can utilize him in 2 years instead of 5, like I think they're going to.
Yeah. Either way, I'm excited to see Eli become Patriot, as I know he will.
Baby, it's getting closer and closer.
I wouldn't be surprised if we see Eli in the Captain America movie, but I don't think they'll make him Patriot in that movie.
No.
And I hope that's not the case. I hope that does wait till Young Avengers. I think that'd be he'd be one of the good ones to have kind of take up that mantle in the film.
I could see it being like an exploration of like maybe he learns that he has like an extra he's a little more superpowered than normal because he got something from his granddad, right? And it's just like, oh, maybe very much like Miles Morales in the Spider-Man PS4 game. He's not a main character. He is not Spider-Man yet, but he is like, oh, this is who I could also maybe become because now I have a Black Captain America.
Oh, you know what? You don't even have to do the super serum analog, and it's mutant genes in the comic, but you don't have to do anything like that. You could just have in the 4th Captain America film, oops, Isaiah and Eli got in a car accident, and Eli needs a blood transfusion.
Oh my god,
blood.
God, how many transfusions can the Marvel universe do? Oh my goodness,
a lot.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a good way to do it. I think there's a good chance we don't see Eli for a bit.
Yeah.
I think it's reasonable. I kind of hope so because again, like, you know, there were 3 Black writers on this show who don't get the main title credit for any of the episodes, but I'd take a wild guess on the scenes that they were most influential on, and I don't think that they're transferring over to the film, so I don't think I want Eli or Isaiah in it.
Yeah.
What if Eli shows up? What if Eli shows up at the end of Hawkeye and says to Kate Bishop, I want to talk to you about the Young Avengers Initiative?
That would go. That doesn't make any sense.
So I had a thought about maybe not obviously introducing Eli as Patriot in Captain America 4, but kind of like what they did in Iron Man 1 when Rhodey looks over at the suit and goes, next time. Maybe like the end of the movie, he picks up like he somehow just holds the shield. And he's like, hey, that shield, holding that shield is pretty cool. I wonder. The seeds are sown right there where he's like, hey, I was able, like, you see him throw the shield in a quick scene or a quick fight, and then Sam brings it up later at the end of the movie and is like, hey, you're pretty good at throwing that shield. You're a natural at this. He's like, I guess. And then that's how the seeds are sown to like him becoming eventually Patriot.
I've been thinking about it for a while, and I think I'd really like a Champions show.
Yeah.
To lead to Young Avengers.
I don't think they're going to call it. I think they're going to consolidate the title. They're not going to.
I mean, they could call it Young Avengers too, but I could see them calling it Champions because that's what they call themselves in an attempt to do it. Hold on.
Okay.
Just
yeah.
The reason why I say that is because I think the Young Avengers film, if they're going to nail it, I think it should be something that the main Avengers can't deal with, but we have to have those main Avengers showcased enough in it.
Okay.
So they should still already have been a team that more or less has met and worked together. I don't want all the young ones for the first time scrambling to get to know each other and work together as a team in that film while also having to save or help the main Avengers. It sounds way too bloated.
I see what you mean, but I don't think using different names because those are 2 totally different teams.
That's fine. That's fine. That's not the point. The point isn't the title. The point is the show.
Okay, it just didn't make sense. I got you. Yeah.
I'm just happy. We've talked about it before that Miss Marvel and
Riri
Williams are part of the Champions, but they'll probably just call them Young Avengers.
Yeah, because literally everyone else has been introduced as part of Young Avengers.
My point is that it being small scale and smaller scale than the big budget film and giving enough time for for those young characters to interact with each other.
Yeah.
Because you've got a pretty wide cast of them. I don't want them all to just be tossed at a movie having to do the legwork of the first Avengers film, but with even more people.
No, yeah.
What you do is you start the Young Avengers movie. All the Avengers are dead. Done.
Yes. There we go. Thanos, he's back. No, I do think the Young Avengers stuff is still far enough away where like we have to get Cassie as a teenager first before anything else. So like we're still so far away where like all these characters will be fleshed out by the time this stuff happens.
But I'm very excited for it. Yeah,
I just hope it's better than this most a little bit.
I think, all in all, looking at the shows, I'm going to talk about WandaVision and Falcon Winter Soldier as kind of like group here in general terms. I think all in all, these are both good freshman efforts for Marvel Studios television. I think they both had their strengths, they both had their faults. Like WandaVision filmed most of it during a pandemic. That in itself is a feat. So both of
them suffered.
Yeah, both of them suffered. Both of them have strengths. Both of them have positives. I'm more positive generally on Falcon Winter Soldier. I probably just need to rewatch WandaVision because I haven't watched the whole show since I saw the ending. But I think as Marvel Studios grows and does more TV, more things like this, I think this will start to get easier for them, and I think we'll start seeing it get better over time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I will say, like, I don't really know what we're looking down the barrel of any more 6-episode shows, 6-episode seasons. I'm sure there are more. We just don't know what the specifics.
Loki,
I'm not as worried about in context of this, but maybe I should be. This still, to me, when it's all said and done, felt like a bloated movie rather than a show.
Yeah.
A show would have had the time to develop the things we are all saying are flaws of this show and handle them a little better. And that could be pandemic related, but I don't think so. I think it is just the conceptualization felt like, let's run a Marvel movie, but a little longer.
The pandemic didn't make them have Zemo and Sharon Carter and the GRC. That's just from the base.
And I hope that the lesson they learn from this is that they need to think about these, A, as a show, and B, to use them to actually develop and not overstuff ideas into them. Because I will say, like, I'm pretty positive on the show, but I'd be hard pressed to say that for its 6-episode count, it's stuffed. And it's stuffed in not a good way. It's stuffed in a way where it doesn't have enough time to explore the coolest parts of itself.
I think of a show that we're watching off air, Invincible, and how the stuff those episodes are with so much stuff. And here it's just like there's so much like filler. And there doesn't need to be. Like this is supposed to be like a big movie, and it doesn't.
That does worry me as well, Sparkz. I wholeheartedly agree with you. The thing, I think that we are staring down the barrel of 2 other 6-episode shows, Hawkeye and Loki, and I think everything else is meant to be 9. Though I don't know about Ms. Marvel. I'm only assuming. I know we know She-Hulk is 10.
I'm hoping that, like, much like with the Netflix thing, like they can learn to, like, they don't need to be strict with their episodes. They can if they need to be 7 or 9 or 11, like, do what feels right. Don't make it exactly. It needs to be 5 hours long. Like everything needs to be a 5-hour or 6-hour length, right? Like, I think it just feels like
it's not as much about, I think, the amount of episodes or anything as it is like the way that this show was structured. It needed more episodes, but it's about what you decide to put into it.
Yeah.
Because the time difference isn't that big between this show and WandaVision. It's there, but it's not that big.
Yeah.
And WandaVision, I don't feel like has the same problem of me feeling like there's an episode where things just aren't developed well enough over time. Regardless of like how arcs don't feel completely finished by the end of it or that kind of thing, like it does feel like it's developing at the pace it should for a show.
Yeah.
Whereas this feels like it's again, like it just feels like a Marvel movie, but longer. And I want them to think about it as a show and how they develop their characters. And if they are overstuffing it, that they maybe need to take something out because Falcon and the Winter Soldier suffers from that. It is too much crammed into its time. Whereas WandaVision, I think, doled out the right amount of stuff for the amount of time it had.
Yeah, I'm much hotter on the WandaVision. Even though the stuff involving in Falcon and Winter Soldier, I appreciate much more. I just think WandaVision is just like a better product overall.
And that's just something like I'm pondering now because, we're at the end of the second of these Marvel Studios shows.
Technically the first.
Right, but we're looking down at more of them and what's to come. And I hope that because we're probably like Loki, it's too late, Hawkeye, it's too late, but
Yeah.
I'm hoping that some of the others are going to benefit from lessons of this was too much stuff.
Man, Loki looks so weird. I'm hoping it's just like it really is just doing its own thing and not trying to like weave into like the narrative, and like it's just Loki having a fun adventure. I really hope that's what it is and not big setup and doing
That's
all
the
this
thing.
stuff.
That's the thing that intrigues me about Loki so much. One of the things I'm really happy about Falcon Winter Soldier, that frustrated me about WandaVision, is that Falcon Winter Soldier felt like it like really mattered. This was a moment. This was an important moment in the MCU. That Falcon Winter Soldier was. Oops, I gotta get a bloody nose.
Oh no, Brandon.
WandaVision, weird. Loki. I'm just gonna let this bleed for a second. Loki feels like it can be standalone in a way that WandaVision and Falcon Winter Soldier can't be.
For
I
sure.
agree. Yeah.
And I
Go
hope
get
it
him
is.
out.
Go do
Yeah.
what you got to do.
Yeah.
We'll
Sorry.
vamp for a second.
Yeah.
Even just from the trailer of Loki, like that looks like it's just we need Loki to have a fun adventure, and like they just wanted to work with Tom Hiddleston again, which I'm down for. Like I don't need it to be big connective tissue because I kind of after these last two things I kind of hope it's not.
Yeah.
Again, like not to discredit how dope Captain America is.
No, for sure. It's very much just I want them to understand now. This is a Kevin Feige thing, honestly. I wish that he had maybe seen it. Maybe he learned from this or made the decision earlier. Who knows? But that there was too many things.
Yeah.
This was trying to juggle too many things to land. And hopefully that they can figure that out with some of the future shows so we don't run into that specific problem again of just like too many things made it so that certain things just totally fell flat, like Sharon Carter, like the Flag Smashers, like US Agents Reveal. Ben, you're great. Ben, any thoughts on what we're saying there?
Not really.
Okay.
As a whole, I still enjoy Falcon Winter Soldier, but I do agree with Ryan. I think WandaVision is the better product out of the two. Mostly because of how different it was. Because this one felt like a super long Marvel movie where, it's a fun ride, but it does have some problems with Marvel movies that we've had. Whereas WandaVision, that's out of left field. Where it's like, let's have the first 3 episodes be completely sitcom oriented, and then we get into like exactly what's going on.
They have similar finale problems where their villains are kind of underdeveloped and just kind of tossed away. But I think WandaVision's ride is like just more even keel instead of
Whereas with WandaVision, I was more intrigued about the mysteries, whereas with Falcon and Winter Soldier,
I didn't care about them.
Well, what?
Because you said like with the mysteries of Falcon Winter Soldier, like I don't care about the power.
Okay, with the mysteries of WandaVision, it's like, oh shit, what the heck is Evan Peters doing the show? Oh my god, is Mephisto gonna be in? Whereas this one's like episode 4, yo, Sharon Carter is totally the power broker, right?
Not the same show though.
Yeah, but like that's not every Marvel Studio show from here on is gonna have the kind of speculation WandaVision had. Like that had a premise set up that invites that kind of thing. And I don't want them.
Yeah, to be perfectly honest, I was happy that Falcon Winter Soldier wasn't that kind of show. It wasn't what's constantly what's this, what's that, what's this, all the speculation. That was fun, but I was tired.
Look, they're very different shows, honestly. Like, I wouldn't be talking about them in conversation with each other if they weren't both Marvel Studios projects.
Yeah.
There'd be no reason for me to be comparing them at all.
Right.
They are handled very differently, and in some ways better than the other, and in some ways worse than the other, and those things are kind of balancing out. But the key thing that I come away with is I'm just like, if we are looking at more of these, I really don't want any more to feel like overstuffed long versions of Marvel films. I want them to feel like properly executed limited series events.
Yeah.
The last note I really want to end on about basically the same thing is that WandaVision, to me, one of my biggest criticisms of WandaVision is that it felt like a stepping stone into Doctor Strange, whereas Falcon Winter Soldier didn't. Falcon Winter Soldier felt like a significant moment in the MCU, and I want the shows to be more like that, and less like we're just buying time until we get to the movie. I like this.
I agree with you 100% about the show until John Walker, Sharon Carter, bam, bam, and then it's like
I will have that caveat.
And again, like that's like we've had post credits tease up things before. That's not a big deal. No. The problem is that the execution of it in relation to everything that came before felt like that's what this was for. Punch, and I'm like, come on,
I'm back.
You trim a bit. My point stands.
Yeah.
Oh, one other moment I want to spotlight is I really love when John Walker and Bucky are about to throw down with the Flag Smashers right after Sam saves the Senators, and he just throws that shield down there and knocks them all on the ground like, sit your ass down.
Man, and like we got a post-credit scene of him building that shield, and that thing gets taken out real quick and just busted.
We didn't talk about it earlier, and I did want to kind of spotlight it that I just feel like Carly's dialogue with Sam wasn't good in their fight.
Mm-hmm.
Everything about who those characters have been in interacting with each other up to that point just felt like it wasn't there. It didn't matter.
I can't tell you how much it bothered me where he's like, I'm not going to fight you. She's the villain. Like she's gonna murder hostages. This is not
like knock her out, have a discussion later.
Understand you're a Captain America and like you're a good guy, but like this is the first time he's ever done this with any villain he's ever interacted with. And like she's past the point of like, is she a good guy or bad guy? She's a bad guy. Like this is just to show how good of a guy he is, but it doesn't make sense.
That's the problem that I talked about up top, which is that the Carly story is not as nuanced as the show wants me to be. Wants me to think. The show keeps telling me that Carly is not a strict bad guy. It keeps telling me. It never shows me.
Yeah. Well, because in episode 4 that was true.
Yeah.
And then it stopped being true.
Flippy flops.
See, Sam choosing not to fight Carly works if they actually showed me that Carly wasn't a true villain. If Carly was more nuanced, but it doesn't. But because the show wants to keep telling me like this is what we did. It just doesn't work.
Because that's the thing is like the Flag Smashers are nuanced. Carly is not, and that got real muddy in a bad way, and that's a bum. We did that enough. Anyway,
listen, Sam,
I'm all happy.
Heck yeah. Sam Wilson's Captain America.
Sam Wilson is Captain America, and they nailed it, and I'm happy. That was a crucial thing, and loved it. Loved every moment of watching him fly around in that costume.
And I even if it wasn't part of the show, I am super happy that they immediately announced, no, we are making a Captain America movie, and he will be Captain America. So just please deal with it. I love that.
I would rather have a second season of the show if the main focus is Sharon Carter.
But
if that's not what it is for the movie, then we're good.
Listen, Sharon cannot be the bad guy of the next Captain America movie. You can't do it. You can't do it to us.
Oh, I didn't say this. I'm sorry. I didn't say this in relation to the Sharon Carter stuff we were saying earlier. My other problem with it is that there's nothing really good to mine in the relationship dynamic of Sharon Carter being a bad guy because she has no previous relationship with Sam. They're banking on us being familiar with her as a character, but her relationship with Sam doesn't exist. The only character she actually ever really had any kind of relationship with was Steve. She doesn't have a good, like, grounded history with Sam.
Yeah.
They're just aware of each other.
They're acquaintances.
Yeah. He's honestly, he's more familiar with Spider-Man. Like, this it doesn't jive the same way.
Yeah.
And that really sucks. So I hope that that's not something they try to play us up on later, that like, this is important because it's Sam watching a friend of his like fall. And I'm like, no, it ain't. It ain't that. It ain't that at all.
He barely knows it.
I'm really glad this is the story they decided to tell. For Sam Wilson becoming Captain America. They could have just gone the route of he's Captain America now because Steve gave him the shield, but they didn't. They decided to tell the story of like what does the shield mean? What does giving it to Sam mean? And I think that I'm really glad they decided to do that. I do want to say one more thing about Carter. Sorry, I don't mean to beat that dead horse again.
Come on.
There's a bit where they say Agent Carter. Welcome back, Agent Carter. It's cute. It's a fun little callback. Real quickly, I'm going to address the audience who don't watch this show. Let's lay off the Peggy hate because retroactively making her care, because a lot of people are talking about how Peggy needs to rot in hell because she knew about Isaiah. Come on, people, calm down. Calm down.
Yeah, that's like if you're. You can't. Are they like pro Sharon though? Like are they anti Peggy?
Some of them
Sharon,
are. Some of them are.
Okay. Well, that's just a bad idea altogether. I understand the idea of like, oh, maybe your heroes aren't as good as they are. No, some of them can be. Yeah. Like maybe just have like Dr. Erskine or whatever his name is and Sharon or Peggy just actually be good people.
Shield didn't experiment on Isaiah. It was the CIA and Hydra.
Yeah.
So,
So there you go. Take that.
Lay off them people who don't watch the show.
Hold up. Yeah. So people are mad that what?
Oh,
don't worry about it.
I'll tell you off air, but basically just people think that the retcon of Isaiah being a super soldier in the 50s and then experimented on for 30 years implies that Sharon Carter was complicit in it. That was not Sharon Carter. Peggy Carter was complicit in it. And let's lay off that. Come on, people.
Okay,
use your brain.
Subscribe to that fan letter.
Yeah. He says CIA. Peggy was part of S.H.I.E.L.D. Two totally different things. All
but
right.
also, like, you don't have to retroactively change everything in the continuity. Things should just exist as they existed.
But if you do want to make Sharon Carter a Skrull to redeem whatever happened in this freaking show, I'm okay with it.
All for that.
I hope so, because it's pretty lame to just make Sharon Carter Emily Van Camp's character from Revenge.
That's what I was saying earlier. She's like, she can't get revenge on me. It's got the 8 for infinity.
I watched a couple episodes of that show.
I watched one episode, and it was the first one, and then I was done.
Quality level was probably about the same as that post-credit scene.
Oh, boy. Speaking of revenge. What?
It's the kind of Monte Cristo. That's what that's about.
Oh, okay.
It's based on. Yeah. All right, I'm done. You guys done?
Let's get out of here. Let's. He can't be bird boy anymore. Birdman anymore. It's Captain Falcon.
Captain America.
Someone else can be Falcon.
Somebody else can be Falcon. Where are you at, Joaquin? You got those wings.
Take out Sharon. Build up Joaquin. Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. There you go.
There you go.
Give me
Take out Sharon. Build up someone.
Hashtag the Taurus cut.
All right, I guess that'll do it. Probably goes up the same time, right? Even though we're recording it earlier. So we have just done. No, this goes up tomorrow.
As long as I can download it.
All right. Well, whatever. Either tonight or yesterday, we talked about Mortal Kombat. The new movie, the 2021 Mortal Kombat movie. We've been building up to it, so check out our Mortal Kombat and Mortal Kombat Annihilation reviews. We talked about those a couple weeks ago, and our look at video games, which I didn't say as much as I kind of really want to, thinking back on it. But we went through all the live action video game movies in the last episode, and now we're going to talk about Mortal Kombat. We're here, guys. 2021 Mortal Kombat.
Get over here.
So check that out. Got a bunch of stuff going on this channel, so make sure to like this video, make sure to subscribe to this channel. You can check out, of course, the rest of the Fake Nerds Watch. We talked a bit about WandaVision. Check out WandaVision. We're talking about other Fake Nerds Watch. Maybe we talked about that show also a bit on this episode. We're going to do something with that. Who knows? We know, but you guys don't know. You can check out our Fake Nerd Book Club, which just finished Little Charm the Gang. Basement Arcade, which is our video game show, and Basement Arcade Pause Menu, which is our video game talking show. New episode of Basement Arcade Pause Menu. Ben, did you record a new one? Is one coming out? I don't know your schedule.
One's coming. One's going to be recorded soon.
Okay, cool. So stay tuned for that conversation. If you're for your audio people, if you guys listen to audio podcasts, I don't know if there's a lot of crossover there, but that's the show I do. That's on our audio feed. Check that out. That's everything we do. We do a lot of stuff. I think you can check out our Patreon, check out our TeePublic, check out our website, fakenerdpodcast.com, where you can find everything we do. A lot of cool stuff up there. It's so cool, guys. Check it out. It's linked below. Do all that shit. I forgot what we were going to do next, so I had to stall a bit. You can find out Fake Nerd Podcast on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. I'm at BT McClure on Instagram and Twitter. Ben?
You can find me on the internet at BenMagnet27 on Instagram and Twitter.
Oh, I should have said you can find me not getting a bloody nose at BT McClure on Instagram and Twitter. Sparkz?
You can find me really happy with our new Captain America at Sparkz Witty on Instagram and Twitter, SPARKZ Witty.
And Ryan?
At DJ Tony Snark everywhere.
All right, make sure to like this video and subscribe to this channel. And until next time you see us, stay fake nerds.
Sandman and Bird Boy. Sandman, Bird Boy. He's got the wings.
His screen went out on our end.
Oh.
Yeah. So we're just gonna be having issues all night. Cool.
Oh,
great. Cool. It's my shitty computer. It's probably the Kool-Aid.
No, it's probably the Firefox browser.
Oh, that's right.
Now that we have had to switch over.
Oh, it actually probably is. You're right.
Okay.
Is there like a third browser we can try now?
Internet Explorer.
Oh yeah, I think that'll run it better than Firefox or Chrome.
All right.
You know what? We're already here. I'm gonna pause it. You know what? Fuck it. I think I have Internet Explorer. Hold on. No, actually, I don't want to do that. It sounds awful. I'm not gonna do it. There's no way it runs better. There's no way.
There's no world.
I can't believe I
In what
entertained the
universe does Internet Explorer run back? On the latest episode of Bird Boy and Sad... No, not. God damn it. Bird Boy. Fucking shit.
It's okay.
Birdman and Sad
It's
Boy.
okay.
Birdman. Sad
Birdman
boy.
and Sad Boy.
It's okay. It's okay. No one's gonna know you just roll it back unless I forget to cut this part out, which happens once every now and then. Most of the time.